Alright, fuckers, welcome back to practicing Challenge 52. Athoro, right? The beautiful artist, Athoro, handsome fellow. I don't know what he looks like. But his challenge, right? The Discord is linked in the description, blah blah blah. Who am I? I'm Vicky, watch me become great. All that shit. Now please, get your pencil, get your pen, get your pen, get your pencil, get your paper. What the fuck was that sentence? Jesus Christ, it's aneurysm incarnate. And draw along. We're practicing week 1 of Challenge 52, which is basic shapes. I'm trying to obviously make it as challenging as possible as per my skill level. Literally, it's just supposed to be draw boxes, like in isolation or in unique patterns or whatever the fuck. But I'm decently more advanced than that. Yeah, I'm not gonna be vague, but like, I'm just a bit more advanced. Let's give realistic expectations. I'm like significantly more advanced than that at this point, but you're never beyond the basic shapes, right? So I'm trying to focus on design, silhouette, right? Trying to make things look interesting. And obviously I'm trying to give some sort of function, which was much more prevalent in this, right? Like hinges were occurring here, kind of a hinge was occurring there, hinge definitely was occurring here. But slowly but surely, I genuinely feel as if I'm starting to understand, at the very least, silhouette and unique ratios that are aesthetically pleasing to the eye between the shapes and their relation to each other. So I'm gonna keep focusing on visualizing, right? And I'm trying to think of the angle right now, but yeah, please draw along. So let me again always explain to the best of my ability what I'm thinking of. Right now, I'm trying to think about a box, right? I'm already thinking while I'm talking, which is a very difficult skill, right? Because drawing is a fucking skill and everything involved in it is a skill. And I have something else to bitch about today, because I always have fucking something to bitch about. It's just more of the same. It's honestly always just more of the same, but just for me and for you to reinforce the point that I always try to make, right? Which is basically, I was on Instagram. I allow myself 15 minutes between Discord, Instagram, and one more app, my Google Chrome, right? Like, because those are the apps I found I was the most distracted on. I would spend more than 20 minutes a day on. So I limit myself to 15 minutes total between those 3 apps. So I was on Instagram yesterday, and I got somebody's, by the way, while I'm talking, again, I'm trying to think about the shape and what I want, right? Okay, this actually might be a pretty good perspective, but, and I do want to give this some sort of, I want to give this some sort of hinge apparatus, but for the time being, let's just continue onwards like this. Right, anyways, yeah, I got a post recommended to me. It was basically, I don't even know how far in the future anybody's gonna see this, but it was something along the lines of, somebody basically said that it was like a short or like a reel, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? And it was a video of somebody drawing basic shapes, like basic cylinders, and, you know, connecting them and all that stuff. And this fucking guy said something along the lines of, born to be an artist, forced to draw basic shapes, right? And immediately my mind was like, if you're born to be an artist, then there's no such thing as forced to draw basic shapes. It's required to draw basic shapes. If you were born to be an artist, you would actually love the fact that you have to draw, quote unquote, because you'd want to draw basic shapes, right? That's the way I see it. You know, it's like you would find the beauty in drawing these basic shapes. You know, you would, and that's basically what I kind of said. I commented being like, you're promoting a really poor mindset to the people who follow you, right? Those lines are really off. But that's what I said. I'm like, you're promoting a really poor mindset. I'm like, you should have a more positive mindset towards drawing, right? What else did I say? I'm trying to think. Literally, I'm trying to think about what I was saying and also what I'm trying to do with the shape. Because I'm trying to think of an interesting silhouette. And again, the word interesting I quantify as just sheer experimentation and a reflection of the things that I've been exposed to and interested in, and trying to bring that to life, right? So that's how I quantify interesting, because the word interesting is a fucking annoying piece of shit word. It's for real, right? But trying to see that perspective still. Ooh, that's difficult, and I already fucked up the perspective here on this end. But let's see, maybe something like this, right? We'll have this come out here. Okay, that's a bit of a connection. Doesn't look too interesting, you know, vaguely interesting, I guess, just yet. Fucking horrible definitions I'm using. But yeah, I basically just said, promote a better mindset to your audience. There's a lot of beginners, and if you're doing the whole everything is so difficult, I hate learning, that bullshit that I keep seeing with artists, right? If you keep promoting that, then they're going to be reflective of that sentiment. Like they're going to be reflecting your sentiment regarding that, and that is only going to make things. Well, I need to calculate an angle. That is only going to make, like, you're basically just promoting how to be a negative piece of shit, right? And then everybody clapped because they're like, "You're right." No, I did not say that. I am not that mean. I'm actually nowhere near that mean. It's just, at least I don't think I'm that mean, right? Perhaps the real journey was the Viggies we fammed along the way, right? I.e., finding out that I'm actually a scumbag, but ooh, this is difficult. So yeah, I'm already like having a lot of trouble thinking about these shapes, and obviously I want to have more. I want to have more. Let's see. I want to have more defined shapes as I go through this, because these are like all small. Like this is like medium, and this is small. So I need to have like a genuine big shape to hold this all together, right? You can probably tell I'm trying to create a gun-like apparatus sort of shape, but there needs to be more to this. And again, like I'm trying to fucking think while I talk, which is very difficult. While I draw, clearly, actually, but it's very difficult. Let's see, because this needs to be on the same plane, right? Let's see. Okay, so I this is the perspective. I brought it over. Okay, so I need to do something like this. Yeah, there you go. That's a bit more accurate. We'll make these little tiny things. This, you could say like, oh, this is a magazine, but I don't know what the fuck a magazine really is or does. I don't know shit about guns, to be honest. A mag is what holds the bullets, right? I think the mag is what holds, and this is also off. So see, I should have made this a lot more jutting out. But basically, I said something along the lines of, my brother in Christ, please promote a more positive mindset. Obviously, I did not use any emojis. Like, I was not done. I did not speak in my regular manner where I was like, hey, we can all learn together. Because I always put like a positive spin on things. This pissed me off because I'm seeing it a lot, right? So I was like, be more positive. No, like the difficult thing is the beautiful part about the drawing process, right? So you need to encourage your audience to have that mentality, is what I said. Something along the lines of that. I'm sure I said more shit, which maybe didn't make me seem as nice. And I want to be very clear. I didn't say anything mean. But I was just being very straight up. You know that thing people say where like, I'm not a dick, I'm just straight up? I did that. I basically told him to kill himself in Minecraft. But I was like, just being real here. I'm just being real. I'm just being me. I know exactly who I'm supposed to be now. I'm gonna let the light shine on me, right? But unfortunately, the light I had shown on him was poorly met. ill met, my good sir. But okay, how the fuck does this connect? How does this connect? Because I'm obviously trying to think about something, and these tiny lines are not making a big difference. Okay, wait, hold up. I think I made that extended way too far out. Yeah, that should not be like this. There you go. Perspective is off. This is converging way too much. This, I don't think it's even following correctly. But how does this connect? Right? Maybe we could actually extend this out a bit further, and then there you go. Maybe something like, ooh, see, these are all mistakes. But I basically just said something along the lines of, stop being fake and gay. And then they responded by being fake and gay, and I was like, damn, that's for real, for real. Okay, so I don't think that makes too much sense. And this is just way too thick. But this is now the beautiful problem that I have to solve, right? My bullshit aside. This is the problem that I have to solve now, which is, how do I make this make sense? I actually don't think I made this make sense at all. Like, this is not connected properly, which is good, because that means you know what? I'm just gonna extend this. Let's see what happens when I extend this all the way out. Like so, right? And maybe just maybe, what do I want? What do I want in terms of silhouette? What do I want? Maybe I can extend this out further, and then maybe I want something that's actually, you know, if that's what's happening here, I'm gonna bring it down, and we're gonna have another one here, and this one there you go, make it like that, and we'll have another angle. Yeah, there you go. Why don't we just try it again, right? And again, I'm calculating, like, again, if you're wondering, like, how the fuck does he see this angle? Because there's a lot to think about. I'm still thinking about the overall box. I'm trying to obviously figure out some logic between the shapes here. Obviously, you'll see, like, things are a bit disconnected, right? Like, this was supposed to be a continuation, this box down here, but I made this too thick. Also, it wasn't centered properly up here, right? So there's a lot of things going on when it just comes to figuring out the placement within the grid that we are trying to see, right? And then when it comes to calculating the angle, it's like, okay, well, if this is a perspective I have chosen, like if this is the perspective that it's in from this plane, right, then I'm calculating this angle. Like or maybe like, I'm extending it outward a little bit and I'm like, okay, no, never mind, the angle is this angle, right? But the point is we're finding 2 points, however far the distance is in that plane, like however big, wide, or long the plane we want it to be, and then we're literally trying to calculate the angle from one diagonal point to the other diagonal point, and then we're creating it. Clearly here, it's more like it's jutting out a bit further out, right? Like I created an arbitrary plane in my mind that's following this perspective, this plane, I followed it, and then I just created a plane where I'm like, okay, I want it to be this long and it's going from here to here. So it's still the same perspective, but the diagonal itself is heavily, what's it called? Created by the length of the plane, is the way I think about it. But do you see how that's a lot to think about, right? It's a lot to think about. Trust me, it's a lot to think about. So like it's always going to be difficult, and that's a good thing. Like I will never ever downplay the difficulties of this skill. See, I fucked that up. You see how that line, like I didn't make it as it's just not as clean, or it's just not the same perspective. Yes, I'll finish my story. It's nothing crazy. I'm not like, yes, and then I followed up and I flamed him for being a waste man, right? I always encourage everybody to practice. I have nothing against this person. I have everything against promoting the wrong mindset, right? But that's basically what I said. It was like, have a better mindset. You have people who look up to you, right? And doing difficult things is the best part of the process, right? Like, that's basically what I said. And they responded with, well, you couldn't tell this was satire, and it's not realistic to always have a positive mindset, and some other shit, which I was just like, you know what? I kind of understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I think it's 100% realistic to have a positive mindset, because I'm doing it right now, and I've gotten this far while doing it, right? So, that's my 2 cents. It's like, it is not unrealistic to have a positive mindset. You simply find it unrealistic to have a positive mindset purely on the basis that you have not learned, right? Not that you're incapable, but you have not learned how to have a positive mindset, right? And that, my friend, is a character flaw. It is called skill issue. But that's literally what it is. It's just skill issue, right? You don't know how to do X thing? Cool, skill issue. It's a good thing, and we should honestly, we should all be happy we can chalk it up to skill issues, because that means they are like we can fix them, right? We can work on them, we can improve them. Improvement is the crux of what we try to do anyways as artists, so why not try to improve our mentality as well, right? That's just the way I see it. But let's see, and then we could have maybe, like, again, what is aesthetic, right? I'm thinking, and this is really difficult when, because everything, even though you would think that, oh, it should be easier to draw things in the same perspective, it's still hard to constantly retain that perspective. Like, it should be technically easier to draw things in the same perspective when you have multiple things to affirm that perspective. Should, right? But the reality is, it's still relatively difficult, I'll be completely honest, like, because you still have to constantly keep that perspective in mind, and we're still trying to think about design, we're still trying to think about silhouette, right? So it's not as simple as that. Look, I already fucked up this line, right? But that's the thing. I have 2 options, right? This is where the whole, like, having a positive mindset and focusing on the effort comes into play. And that's what this individual said, is like, it's not realistic to have a positive mindset at all times. And I challenge that notion, is the fact that it may not be realistic to have it at all times, but it's realistic to attempt to have it at all times, to put the work into have it at all times. Whereas, that was just me suckling on the teats of my Tim Hortons coffee. But that's literally the process of learning and enjoying learning, right? So this shape actually looks pretty mid. Now I think I can confidently say it looks mid because this is too small compared to this. Like, this is just something small that's sticking out and it doesn't really make sense, right? Like I feel as if just from intuitively what I know is that there should be more support. There should be either less space around this, the width, the what's it called, how thin this shape is, and this was me like just trying to understand it for myself, right? Or there should be or this should be larger. Like either way, we need a better ratio between the base and what's surrounding it, right? Like the base of this shape and what's surrounding it, right? And that just comes down to again skill issue, which is I didn't make it centered properly, and the width and the length and everything has issues. Now the other thing is like how else can I make this shape more interesting? Well, just like I said, right now I'm gonna calculate the middle point of this, extend it outwards, and then be like, okay, well this is the middle point, probably, right? And I need to see that still while I do this. Maybe that makes it a little bit better. Obviously, I fucked up the lines quite drastically here. I don't know if that makes that a little bit better. Actually, I feel as if maybe this should have been a bit thicker. Maybe this line should have been here, and it should have been wider, right? That looks a bit too finicky, and because the perspective is also off, it actually doesn't really add to it. Now I know that, right? That's just something I know, but silhouette-wise, I think it looks okay, but it's lacking a lot of function. And maybe we can, yeah, maybe I can sort of fraud some function if I do something like this, right? Where it's like a little bit of a connection, something like that. What else? What else can be done? What else can be done to make this have a more interesting silhouette, right? This is why I love, like, it's all zero expectations. That's how we have a positive mindset around art and learning, right? But it's the same shit I always say, which is the fundamentals are not boring. We are boring. We are boring, right? Do not complain about trying to learn the basics of something, because the basics are the foundation of which you are essentially building on top of, right? The better your basics, I know a lot of people when they will be looking at these videos now, what I'm doing with the really intense sort of form wrapping that I'm doing, right? The box, the sphere inside the box, the central line inside the sphere inside the box, and then wrapping hard surface shapes around it. When people see that, I'm sure right now you'll be like, I don't get it. This isn't even a portrait series. You spent 45 hours supposedly doing art walk portrait roadmap, but I haven't seen a single fucking hint of something related to portraiture that I view as like the actual features in the face. Because you don't understand what I'm doing. You don't understand what I'm doing because you don't see the merit of it. And the merit of it is building the foundation of top tier visualization, perspective skills, spatial reasoning, all that stuff, right? You will understand 100 hours later, 100 videos later, a year later, 2 years later. You will see, be like, how the fuck is he so good at coming up with all these different faces and shapes and playing with them from imagination? And then I'll be like, well, look at the foundation. Like I created the foundation, right? But that's just the plight of the beginner and the uninformed, you know? You'll only know by doing the reps, and I've done so many reps, and I actually understand. I think I've genuinely understood the meaning of and like internalized just patience and working on the foundation, right? You know, brick by brick, as they say. But anyways, I'm going to rest my brain. I encourage you to do so as well, and I don't want to leave this shape as it is. I want to add something else and see if we can make the silhouette more interesting. Oh, even though like it's kind of already like lost a bit, lost to the wind. But either way, let's rest our brains. Wonderful. Anyways, I'm back. I plan to do a lot of drawing today because I didn't draw right yesterday. I took a break as it is my rest week. But today I want to draw for at least 3 hours, right? I want to build my nice backlog back during these rest weeks that I have, or rest week that I have, right? So let's analyze what didn't really go that well. This is too thick. Should have been longer. I feel as if in general, like this entire base is too thick. Yeah, like it's just the ratio. I understand that now, which is a really good thing, right? But what can we add here that would... Could I add something diagonal here? Maybe I could add something diagonal going the other way, right? So if we have something like this, then I can just add, if this is this diagonal, right? Then the other diagonal would be, if we think about it, right? Because I'm just thinking about like how this is angled. So if we have this, then the other diagonal would be something like this, right? something like this. So yeah, there you go, something like that. And now the real question just becomes, well, what do I want to do with this diagonal, right? Do I want to, well, maybe I want it to jut out like so. Oh, see, I actually got it down. Wow, I didn't even look at this as a reference, but I end up calculating it correctly anyways, which is good. And the thing is, like, when you try to do these calculations, I'm just gonna try to be as realistic as possible, right? That's too thick. I already understand that's too thick. And yeah, that's too thick, but it's okay, because we'll just try to thin it out right now and have to ignore that other mistake. But okay, like another thing you need to understand is when you try to do these diagonals, you will have an incredibly difficult time at the beginning because the calculations just won't be happening. Like you just won't be seeing the calculations, you know. So it's all about mental energy, right? That's a big thing I'm always saying is like it's all about the mental energy. Oh, see, that's a fuck up because that's too thin. It's all about the mental energy that you put in, right? So it's going to be very difficult in the beginning. And even now, it's very difficult to try to see the silhouette and to calculate. And that's what I'm constantly trying to do, is like I'm trying to constantly make sure everything is being seen with the grid and being visualized and all that stuff, right? These are all skills. Again, these are all skills. They're very, very, very difficult skills, right? Don't ever feel, and that's why the expectation is just, I'm going to try my fucking best. And these are things, you know, addressing that person's comment, which is like, you can work on and we can constantly try to ensure that we practice it to the best of our ability, right? Like then that's the only metric you can really control is just how much effort am I trying to put in. Not even like am I achieving the effort that I thought I should have achieved, which is something that I struggled with a lot, right? But it's just like, am I just trying? You know, am I just trying? And did I try? Like did I genuinely like put in effort? And right now the answer is like, yeah. And I keep losing the perspective again, right? Which is why intuition and knowledge takes a hold when I lose the perspective, right? Like when I lose that perspective, intuition and knowledge takes hold. But the goal for me is to constantly be seeing and to be visualizing the perspective, right? So, I don't think that really made the silhouette any more interesting. But it was an idea that's not bad, right? I just feel as if there should have been something attached here, right? Something attached there. And you wouldn't see it on this side. Something like that. It doesn't really make any sense anymore. Is there anything else that can be done? Maybe there's a handle on the other side, right? Maybe there's a handle on the other side. And even here we can add things. And that's why, like, again, I got to keep that overall perspective in mind. That's one of the things I really like doing is by challenging my brain is like, even while I'm creating these tiny details, and the whole point of drawing, by the way, in my opinion, is to challenge your brain, right? You're building the person that is capable of challenging their brain to an extent, to this extent, especially, right? I genuinely think it's a beautiful thing. And at the end of the day, we're just making ourselves, quote unquote, more mentally capable of handling the task of drawing, right? Now this already looks a little bit more interesting because I'm starting slowly but surely to understand space, right? And now it's like, okay, do we add something here or do we leave it here? You know, I'm starting, and by space I mean like leaving space, you know, managing space in a way that looks interesting, right? And maybe I could even, okay, no, I want something to come out this way, right? And let's see, maybe we can, and this is obviously like all part of silhouette, right? I'm trying to really, so it comes down here, we'll have it, and then we'll come up again here, right? And then we'll do the same thing, we'll bring it, because this is the edge over here, we'll bring it down again. And again, I'm really trying to think about like how everything is aligned. Up, see, that's too thin. So that's a mistake, and I feel good about that mistake. Now the question is, what do I do with what do I do with this shape? Is this too thin? Is this too thick? Did I fuck it up? We'll have to see, because I want to make some sort of handle type thing, right? And even though this, I have now made two boxes that perhaps could not be a handle, I probably did you know China and Japan are actually different country? You know, South Park classic. My friend's always memeing that, right? But let's see. Really? Anyways. But it's not really a handle right now, but maybe a silhouette could be had that makes it more of a handle later. And this way I can actually also do this, something like this. Maybe, hold up. Something like, because I did that before, right? Oh, see, it's diverging, so let's just... I don't know if I did that correctly. No, this isn't even... See, this is rotated incorrectly, but we have to deal with that. That's just a mistake that's been had, and we simply accept it, while I'm also obviously trying to think about the overall box. So it's always the overall box, and then really trying to keep the overall box in mind, while I'm creating all these different calculations that are occurring, right? And that's the beautiful part, is like, it's all a big question mark. Is like, is this going to work, right? Like, is this going to work? Who fucking knows? But I'm gonna work all the same to figure it out, right? Now, maybe this completely ruined the silhouette. It's very likely that this has actually completely ruined the silhouette, but it doesn't fucking matter to me, because, let's see. Okay, this was supposed to be coming along here, but I'm making a jut out now. What's being done? What's being done? Maybe I'm gonna have to actually change things up a little bit. Like that. Right? And then this is going in here. So it doesn't look good anymore. You see, this is a huge mistake now, because I completely didn't understand what I was doing, and things aren't connecting properly anymore. But I guess just to keep this looking okay, let me make it the same thickness as this, roughly. So I was like, okay, that kind of looks interesting, but no, see, the silhouette is kind of fucked now. It's all just blending together. But I understand that now. If I didn't add this diagonal, the silhouette would have been much more readable, but now it isn't as readable. And I get that now, because like, you need this negative space, right? We need this little, like the eye, this is just like, okay, it's all just one form blending together, but we need distinction between this, this, this. But just by adding this, like, look at this, if I get rid of that, this to this is more distinct. But now adding that, it's like, what is connected, what isn't connected. So that's good. That's really good. So we're going to leave that as it is, because that's a huge mistake. And then I'm going to try something again. And this time I want to focus on function as well. I really want to have some sort of functionality embedded into what I draw, right? And this is obviously where we can... Yeah, this is where we can have, let's see, more gears, more... Yeah, I want to add more gears, more, you know, little bolts, but obviously based off of hinges, right? Hinges is the main thing right now, right? So we have something like this now. I've created this, and then I have to think like, okay, well, first of all, let's center it. This needs to be centered, right? So we'll have something like this, and again, trying to calculate it. It's a lot to think about. I want to be very clear, it's a lot to think about. Please fucking draw along, for the love of God. There's nothing entertaining about boy speaking like, and these funny accents and shit, which only I find funny, funny, evidently. But okay, that's a little bit centered. So where do I want this to go? Well, let's see. I think I kind of understand that this should be slightly thicker, right? And I kind of understand that maybe having something diagonal here would give it... And again, like when I'm making a diagonal, not only am I calculating across like this plane, I'm also trying to keep this, like, I'm gonna lengthen this, thin it out, and then make it go along this plane as well, right? To really understand whether it makes sense or not. But at the end of the day, it's just trying to constantly calculate something is what I've noticed has given me the biggest return on investment, right? Just constantly calculating. We don't see the top. Actually, we do see the top a little bit. There you go. Right, and what else? What else? I'm trying to think. Maybe we'll have another diagonal here, actually. So this way we can bring this up. How do I want this to look is the real question, right? How do I want this to look? Well, I want a connection. I definitely want a connection. So, and again, I'm thinking about the overall perspective, but now it's also about calculating just... Yeah, just like the center of these, right? How I'm gonna make it be placed. Because is that centered? Maybe. Obviously, I must focus on my lines as well, and that was a horrible line because it got so much thicker at the end, right? So objectively, that doesn't make any sense. That was a good line because I want it to be that thin. But this is why I love art, and this is why we can love learning. I will wholeheartedly encourage everyone to not have the mentality that the individual I mentioned had, because that's not going to serve you. Like, does it serve you? That's the first question, right? Does it serve you to believe that? The answer is no. It doesn't serve you to believe that you can't enjoy learning to the best of your ability at all times, right? It just doesn't serve you. So we've already answered the question that there's no point. No, there's no point in thinking like that, right? Okay, now see, again, thinking is another part of art, right? Little Viggy segue there. It's just a normal segue, but if I had Viggy before it, it's now branding. Okay, now this is the part where it's really hard to think, and I must genuinely try to think about a decent silhouette, which is, how does this connect here, right? Well, we can just have a normal box, maybe, right? And, okay, so I'm connecting it so much at the edge, which doesn't really look that good. And why doesn't it look good? Because I didn't fucking think, right? I didn't think. So that's again, that's the issue, right? You always, and maybe we'll make this a bit longer, even with the horrendous line, right? And this should be a little bit thicker, I'd like to think. Right? Perhaps some asymmetry is welcome. We will only know once we go through it, right? But perhaps some asymmetry is welcome. And then we'll bring that down, and then we'll close that off. Right, and we'll do the same thing. Let's see. I obviously shouldn't have done, I should have had it actually like combine with the wall, like form combination, but that's something that I didn't do, so now we have to live with that decision. Right, let me move the pen back. Obviously I want my penmanship to be a little bit better than this. Right, and that was a mistake as well, because I shifted my hand. Okay, that's not too bad, right? And this can be aesthetic, I believe. Like, I think we can create some sort of aesthetic shape language through this, but now this has to be really long, I think. Right? I think making this a bit longer would allow more negative space and breathing room, even though I've already fucked up negative space quite a bit here, right? But I think this would definitely allow more breathing room for the shapes themselves. And aligning this is definitely difficult. Right? Kind of aligned, but not fully. And then same thing here, right? We will bring this up, down here, trying to align it. Okay, so this is really difficult. This is where I need to zoom the grid out a lot because we're trying to align these two things. And that's hard as fuck because I'm thinking about the perspective, but I'm also trying to track where this goes while also ensuring that it's kept to the middle, right? And while also thinking about the perspective. Oh, see, I fucked that up. That line is incorrect, right? It's not in perspective. But these are the little things. These are genuinely the little things that make a difference. And well, I did say I wanted to think about function, but right now, it's all I can do to just keep this looking decent, right? Like, it's all I can do right now to, and again, like, I have to think about the connection here and the connection here. So this is great mental practice. Genuinely fucking amazing mental practice, right? Of visualization and perspective and form and all that shit. So, and this is the state I want to be in at all times. So, if you're my fan or someone who enjoys the things I say, the one thing I can wholeheartedly encourage you to do is completely ignore anybody that does not promote a positive mindset towards learning, right? Obviously, that's like a fucking completely black and white recommendation, but the nuance is obviously like, you know, if they have good things to say, of course, listen to them. But the main thing is like, and again, a lot of what I say may not resonate with you, and I'm completely okay with that. I have zero problems with people not liking what I have to say because I don't fucking need you. Like, I don't need people who have issues with what I say on this channel. This is an echo chamber. All right, this is everybody is only Viggy famming 24/7. Right, and I've defined Viggy famming now. Viggy famming is essentially to always enjoy the process and to do your best and to focus on the effort. That is, we're turning growth mindset and we're renaming it to Viggy Famming. so, so you're welcome, I guess. But no, like objectively, I guess, is that even objective? Whatever. My opinion is, for those of you who obviously want to enjoy art, and if what I'm doing seems impressive to you to a certain degree, or you see that, hey, this guy's actually like saying some shit that's like that should be fire, bro. He's spitting fire, something along the lines of that, right? Youngins, you youngins say that. I'm an unk now, but I don't know what I'm saying. But basically, anybody who promotes a negative mindset is really nobody you should be listening to. Because think about it this way: like, is what they're saying conducive to your art goals? The answer is no. Only what I say is conducive to your art goals. So you're welcome, right? Like, subscribe, and please give me money. But seriously speaking, the whole point is that if someone is saying stupid shit, like okay, just think about it, right? If somebody's constantly shitting on the fact that they have to practice and that's all you're consuming and seeing, is that the type of person you want to be, right? Do you want to be someone who dislikes practice? You know, and it's about people being honest. Like, what's his name? Fuck, Janos Garash, right? Janos Garash, great artist. I follow him on YouTube. That's like super off, and now it's super converging. So that was a huge mistake, which is great. It was a mistake, right? So we want that, and this is great because it's teaching me alignment as well, right? Alignment, proportions, all that shit. But we are converging it now because we have to, because we made that mistake, right? So this is still a bit further down. There you go. But yeah, Janos Garash says something which I completely agree with, which is that a lot of people like the idea of art, but they don't actually like the work put towards getting it. And this comes down to anyone who tries to do anything, right? Like anybody who tries to learn anything, like the idea of learning that thing, but they actually then realize that they don't like the idea of actually learning that thing, right? So you have to be honest with yourself. Do I like the idea of being an artist, or do I like the idea of practicing to be an artist, right? There's a lot of issues here. It feels amazing, right? And that's the main thing that people need to get their head out of their ass about, right? And I'm saying with full confidence, that guy, whoever he is, right? First of all, I'm already better than him, right? So clearly my mindset is superior, and you should all subscribe. But also, I have no doubt that I'm going to surpass many artists that I look up to. But I also have no doubt I have 100 million things to learn. Okay, like I do my best not to have an ego, in the sense that like I do my best to really reinforce to myself that like, yeah, you can talk all the shit you want, but only talk shit about stuff that you know that you're confident in. Right? Like, and I'm confident in the fact that being positive about learning is only a net positive in the long term and the short term when it comes to learning, right? I'm positive that focusing on specific things is good for us. Like, I'm positive about a lot of these things. Okay, I want to have some sort of I'm gonna rest my brain, but I want to have some sort of connection here. Bless me. Some sort of hinge connection, something. That's why I kept it open here, right? And yeah, like there's a lot of alignment issues, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Line issues, of course, my line quality really went to shit. It should be thinner here, but it's thicker than this, right? And that's good. Those are all good things. I feel fucking amazing when I make mistakes, right? And because I'm training myself to do that as well. But anyways, let me rest my brain. Uno segundo momento, please, por favor. And rest your brain as well. Some shit like that. I don't know. It must definitely be hard to rest your brain when all you hear is me slurping on my coffee. Right? Okay. So I have a bit of an idea. Let's see. Okay, so that's the space. Let's see. Basically, what I'm thinking, so let me be very clear. What I'm thinking is I want a shape that's diagonal for big, medium, small, right? I want a large shape now that's diagonal, right? And something is connected here to this. So maybe for that end, having something like this to reinforce that there's a bit of a connection would be good. It already doesn't make sense, actually, now that I see it, because it should have been around there. It's okay, because we made that mistake now, so we should just continue onwards with it. Like a million mistakes. And this is the beauty of learning, is the fact that when you understand and you train yourself that it's all about making mistakes, trying to recognize those mistakes, right? And it's not about intentionally making mistakes. It's about trying to not make mistakes as much as you can, right? Like trying to achieve the thing that you think you should be achieving, or you hold your standard towards achieving, right? And then inevitably, when you don't get there, you take a pause. And this is something that I constantly struggle with, and I'm constantly trying to slow down, right? It's like taking that pause to be like, okay, that mistake was made. Great, feel good, fucking jerk off, whatever, right? Dopamine associated with mistakes, expediting the learning and error recognition process. Wonderful. But also trying to understand, like, what is the cause of this mistake, right? Like, genuinely, what is the cause of this mistake? You know, and how can it be improved? So right now I'm trying to think about function. Like, what can be done here to make this seem really functional? Like, whatever diagonal thing I attach, whatever is happening, what can be done to make it seem as if there is some sort of function behind it? So now the function question is like, what do I even want it to be? What, because right now this just seems like a base that's being built, right? Like, what is happening here, whatever I'm thinking about. And that's really difficult to try to think about the perspective, but now I'm really gonna grind my brain. Like, genuinely, I'm grinding my brain to be like, what is the function? And the function actually might be something like, okay, well, I think definitely the function should be some sort of hinge here. Yeah, definitely some sort of hinge here. And I have a feeling that I can make this, well, I should have made this a diagonal hinge, like a diamond, right? Like in a different perspective, but I haven't. But I have a very strong feeling that keeping it sort of unorthodox in this sense, like this hinge, may be beneficial in the in the design, right? So we'll make this thinner, because we'll follow this example of like making it a thin hinge, right? And again, like I'm trying to pay attention to the elements I've already created in this design while keeping the perspective in mind, while keeping the line quality in mind, while trying to think about a function now, while trying to think about an overall silhouette, while also keeping in mind that the designs that I make need to like have like, you know, be all ratioed essentially, right? L plus ratio equals shit design, something like that. I don't actually don't go on Twitter, but I know that's Twitter speak apparently. But, and again, it's been 42 minutes. 42 minutes of me just doing this and now this, right? It takes time. So art does take time, and that's a good thing, because if you're not taking your time, you're not drawing, you're not learning, you're just rushing to the outcome, which you're going to be disappointed by because you didn't take your fucking time to really think about it. Okay? So it's a lot of yeah, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But now the question is, how do I make this over here? Because there's some spatial issues going on here. So now I have to figure out, well, how do I make this clear? Like, how do we connect these? Right? And now that's a lot of thinking too, and I'm really struggling with that. I'm genuinely really struggling with that right now. Really fucking struggling with that. So now this is clearly jutting out way more. So we should have something like this, perhaps? Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, with that being said, maybe, hold up. So I'm gonna try to, let's see, maybe the shape won't go as well as I intended. Right, so because if that's, and this is already off perspective a little bit, by the way. You see how this is going that way, right? But this is converging super fast. So this box is already pretty kind of off, but we just got to work with our mistakes, right? And if you couldn't see that, A, it's probably because the camera quality is shit. But B, it also means that you can improve your ability to see that, right? That's amazing. Like anything I can't see and you can see, I can work on improving it, and vice versa, right? And yeah, like going back to what I was talking about earlier, yeah, I'll be cocky and be like, oh, I'm gonna be so much better than all these people, but I know there's a million things for me to learn, right? And I think that's a good thing, right? Like I will be humble when necessary, and I will be resolute when necessary. And obviously, it will be up to my own judgment to make that call, to be like, when is the time to be resolute? When is the time to stand firm? And then also to be humble and be like, okay, well, I don't understand, right? Yeah, and you know, that's up to my own discretion, right? So we'll make this something coming out from the middle. So if that's the case, perhaps having another one like this is the correct thing to do. But perhaps I've already fucked it up a little. Cause yeah, see, I've already fucked it up a So let's bring it down a little bit lower, actually. So this is already asymmetrical, and that's just something we have to deal with. And let's see. Thinking about the overall perspective again, like I'm focusing on the finer detail right now, but I still have to think about this overall box as much as I can. Like literally, I have to think about it as much as I can, right? So let's do something like this. There you go. Maybe this will make a difference. See, perspective is off. It's all off. It's and again, because I'm looking at this, but I'm trying to think about the overall like I'm still trying to keep the overall box in my mind, but already perspective is off, right? It's already off, and that's something I have to just deal with, right? That's just and that's a good thing, because like I'm trying to think about function, I'm trying to think about silhouette, I'm trying to think about the overall perspective. These are all good things that are grinding the fuck out of my brain, genuinely. Like it's very difficult. And this doesn't even make sense, I don't think. I genuinely don't think like I've connected it properly. So I struggle with that, right? I struggle with connecting things. And that's a good thing. Again, like if I struggle with it, that's a good thing. So let's see. Maybe I can make something centered here. Because now it's like kind of, you have to problem solve your way out of it with lines that are not good, right? But still trying to problem solve my way out of it. And maybe something like that here as well. Yeah, Jesus, that is not good. But at least there's still like, at least I'm thinking. See, but dude, it's like diverging. This is going this way, that's going that way. See, I fucked that up. Beautiful. Lots of mistakes. Lots of mistakes. Okay, let's close this off. So I should have made this a bit thinner. Something like this. So this should have been further in because it's not centered properly. Right? So there's a lot of things. And now the silhouette is definitely losing, because my eyes are so zoomed in on this, but I need to zoom back out. So yeah, there you go. Like I literally need to physically kind of move my head back an inch to make sense of all this. And the silhouette is genuinely gone to shit. Unless I can fix it, which is something that falls on me, right? Yeah, but do you see like my ability to put things in space is just completely off, right? Like this is way too high. This should have been lower, but I made that mistake now, so we just have to deal with it. Cause look, it's not even on it. It's literally not even on it. But now it's like, I guess it's further back, but this doesn't even look like it's attached to that. It's all floating. So big mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, which is good because I can go back and try to make things a bit more simple next time. We should probably just leave this as it is, because there's no saving this, in my opinion, right? There's a lot of things I thought I wanted to do, and I thought I visualized, but I simply didn't have the ability to keep the consistency up. So we'll leave this as it is. Like, yeah, like this length versus this shape, like the size and width and length of this shape does not correlate well aesthetically with the size and width and length of this shape, because of what I responded with the shapes that I responded with, right? I'm starting to slowly understand that now. And again, we only get there through sheer trial and error when doing the thing, and also observing at the things we are trying to do, right? Like I look at a lot of machinery images and hard surface images and mech designs and helmet sci-fi designs on Pinterest. And slowly but surely over the course of the last 3 months and over the course of the last 100 hours, I'm now starting to understand like, yes, okay, so this ratio may not be correct, right? 100 hours just to get to like a 10% improvement, be like, I think I kind of understand this. So I want that to be very clear as well, right? But let me rest my brain, and then we'll do one more shape, and we'll really, maybe we'll try to, well, I thought I was keeping this simple, but clearly not. So I'll try to simplify it, or at least try to think more about function and aesthetics and all that shit. But slowly but surely, it's like, I'm really proud of the fact that I'm just slowly trying to figure it out, which is good. But yeah, let's rest our brains again. That's good for us. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to try something else, hinge based again, right? So let's do, let's see, a shape here. I kind of want to fill something in here, but probably best not to. Let's try something else. I want to do a very unique bottom angle box. So let's do this again, right? And let's, again, we'll start with these hinges because clearly this is something that, and I'm going to try to keep that overall silhouette and design that I have in mind. I'm going to try to keep it in my mind as much as possible while I'm talking, which is a skill and it's extremely difficult to do so, right? So I want to keep making that clear. Like, these are all very difficult things to do while talking. It's a fucking pain, goddammit. It is genuinely a pain, but in a good way. Let's see. Maybe this ratio will be interesting, right? Because I kept that and then I'm moving it here, so maybe this ratio is interesting, right? Okay, so that's something. I already fucked it up, like in terms of placement, which is good because I'm slowly starting to understand that now. But either way, let's see, because it doesn't look too connected, but maybe I could just add something like this. Right? Keeping that perspective. Like, I'm already losing the silhouette that I had in mind and the function that I had in mind quite a bit. But again, I don't mind too much because we're going to try to figure this out slowly but surely. You see how, okay, how do I get this angle? It's literally this. I'm just going across this. Right now, same thing here. Because I have to think about what I'm gonna do with this shape. These are already two really thick shapes. Like, this is my medium, this is my big, right? But I don't, again, like, this isn't a pleasing ratio in my opinion. I can make it pleasing, I'm pretty sure. Again, depending on how I respond with other shapes, right? So it's this sort of really nice symphony, which requires a lot of thinking, like a lot of fucking thinking, to be like, how does that make sense? So even again, like with this hinge that I'm making, like how do I want the hinge to even be, right? Like how do I want the hinge to move or to be holding something in place, and how do I want other things to respond to that? I was obviously doing a lot better with that before here. One step forward, five steps back, as always, right? But I guess, because this is a very difficult perspective for me as well. So, well, maybe even just something like this, right? Because this is the perspective. We're doing something like that. So even just maybe just having something small like this is a good response, right? Make it a little bit thin. Should I make this thin or thick? That's another thing I have to problem solve, is like, what is the, what is it? We'll make this relatively thin. I'll do something like this, right? This perspective is actually very difficult for my brain to understand, I'll be completely honest, right? Because it's like this is really difficult, right? Like this, and then try to hold that perspective in your mind. It's extremely difficult. And then, like, obviously it's a much larger scale box, right? So, and again, I already have like a diagonal that's fucking with that, right? So that's really hard too. Like, think about it. This is my main perspective. This tiny box is something I've established as my main perspective. Now I have to zoom that out, right? We have to zoom it out, hold it, and we've already created other boxes that are rotated in that perspective, and in this case diagonally. And then we still have to remember that, no, don't forget, you actually have shapes that are in this perspective. So this is already conflicting with this perspective established, because you have to hold and understand the analysis that's going on within the established perspective and ensure that this is anchored and it's consistent and it makes sense, but it doesn't skew your main perspective, like when you apply, right? Those two things are very conflicting in my mind, like when it comes to analyzing. Like, and I think that's a very universal experience when you first start doing things like this. And now we're gonna add silhouette and design and function, which is, how am I gonna place these things? What's the outline and how do they work, right? Which is all derived on the shapes and how they function. So it just goes back to trying to maintain that perspective. Really fucking difficult things. That's already 4 things that I'm juggling in my mind. 4 really high level cognitive abilities, essentially, right? So we'll start off by because I still don't have a silhouette established. I thought I did, but I really don't. But for the time being, we'll just do something like this. Okay. I'm sure this can go places. Like, I do know, like, of course, this shape will have merit. Like, it has to, right? Because obviously, we can make any shape look good. That's just a fact. We can make any shape look good. But that just comes down to years of experience and constant trial and error and the skills involved in trying to make that shape look good. Right? Now, even here, I could actually add another diagonal. We'll do something like this. Watch. Maybe this will make it look more interesting. But I have to think about the center. So the center is actually here. Let's see what this does. Right? If we just add something like this. Maybe that creates more visual interest. Right? And again, I have to keep that center in mind. So somewhere there, and then obviously again, like I have to make sure that perspective I'm drawing in is still accurate, right? And I was like, okay, what is this now? What does this have, right? What does this have that is possibly something that's unique? You know, like how do I, what am I gonna respond the shape as? Like, what is the response to this? What is something now in problem solving that's like, oh, that would look pretty interesting, right? The answer is unknown for the time being. It's genuinely unknown, to be honest, right? But, and it's like, is it a big shape? Is it a small shape? Is it a medium shape? What's its function? What's its silhouette? What's its design, right? Are you still holding the perspective in, dumbass? No, because this seems to be taking over as my main perspective. See, because again, like this is my established perspective, but I'm having a lot of diagonals that are fighting against that, because this is a diagonal that's fighting against it, and now we have a diagonal that's following this perspective, this big box's perspective, fighting against it, right? Actually, no, never mind. This is my established. See, I didn't even realize. This is part of my established diagonal. It's just, it's a bit off, clearly, like this compared to that. But, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know that it's not so bad. But it's like, how do I respond, right? Is it, and this is all big what ifs. It's like, okay, if I do something like this, does that make it look a little bit more approachable? But then what do I add in the middle, right? What do I add in the middle? And let's close this off. Right? It's super difficult. I have no idea what I'm creating with these shapes. And this is already off as it is. And this is the middle, right? Like if this, so we have to calculate the middle here. So it's roughly around here is the middle. And then obviously on the other side, we're gonna have something. So how does this, like, how are these two related now, right? I have to think about that. So it's like that, maybe? No idea. Spatially reasoning, that is extremely difficult. I think it's something like this. Right? I think that line, I think that perspective is already a bit off. But we'll try it out. We'll try it out. There's definitely got to be ways that we can make this seem interesting. See, I already fucked it up a little bit. And that's a bit too thick now, so that's a fuck up too, but trying to keep that perspective in mind is extremely difficult. And that's the best part. Like, it should be extremely difficult. I have no idea where the shape is going. I literally have no idea where the shape is going, you know? And that's the best part, because now, like, I'm literally challenging myself to come up with a silhouette that is relatively interesting. You know what I mean? So why don't we actually, because now I'm back to thinking about the silhouette, right? I'm back to thinking about the silhouette and how it works. So, and again, like this is literally overtaking as my main perspective, but I have to constantly keep reminding myself that no, this is my main perspective, right? So what do I actually want this to be like? Which is, if we bring this over here, and this is a big what if, like what the fuck am I doing here, right? What am I even doing here? I don't like you. But okay, so see, like it's all sorts of fucked. I couldn't figure this out, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try anymore, because yeah, the perspective's really fucking with me. But let's see, what could this be? Bars. There you go. Okay, so could do, if that's the perspective, I could do something like this maybe. It's my medium shape. Let's see, bring that over here. This could connect like so. Right? And maybe this is thinner now. Okay, I'm still trying to think. So let's, okay, yeah, let's think about this. Okay, so this is going to be my shape. Perspective is off, but we'll just have to deal with that, right? Oh man, this is so good. This is so fucking difficult. Maybe there's two actually. And this could very well be an incredible, because I've lost the perspective completely, so I really have to go back and be like, okay, see, I'm starting to see it again. And while I'm starting to see it, I'm starting to, because that's another thing, is like to acknowledge when I've lost the ability to think. Because when you've lost the ability to think, you've lost the ability to draw, right? So I'm really fucking, I'm grinding my brain so hard right now, trying to hold this all together and trying to think about the function. Because I think silhouette's gone to shit, for sure. Like for sure, I think silhouette's gone to shit, but that doesn't mean that the entire design has to go to shit, right? See, that line was bad, it's too thick. That line was okay, but it's off perspective, right? So, oh, it's already been an hour, damn. So look, and all of that for what looks to be a pretty mediocre design, right? I want to make that very clear as well. Like all of that for just mid. So that's also important to note, is just okay, I guess I'll follow the perspective. No, wait, we won't, fuck that. There you go. Because it has to be form blending. There you go. That goes all the way over. And we'll connect this. Yeah, see, it's like, I really fucked up here, because you see, like, there's no understanding, really, on my end. And the decision making was subpar, but at least it does look like a hinge, which is good. Like, it does look like there's some functionality here. Maybe we'll just imbue something tiny. But I lost the main perspective a shit ton. I want to be very clear. I lost that a fuck ton. And even then, let's see, like, yeah, this is the main perspective, right? But even then, it's been very difficult to hold it all together in my mind, right? But at least it kind of looks like there is a hinge like element happening here. Maybe, not really. There should have been a hinge here as well. But let's just close this off. Yeah, and then we'll close this off as well. And it's like, while I draw this, I have to keep in mind the actual perspective, right? We can't forget that. It's all right. I mean, considering I was thinking a lot about function, it's not bad. But this is definitely like, this is what I would consider to be a quote unquote bad art session. But the point is, we're working on trying to figure something out, right? Because I'm actually, if I think about it, I'm trying to take the things that I've learned here, and I'm really trying to add functionality to it. So it makes sense that although my shape ratios have gotten slightly better, like I'm trying to maintain that, but now that I'm trying to add function, it's even worse. Technically, it looks like a step back. Okay, this is how I'm going to explain it. I've improved in my ability to create different ratios of shapes and how, like, what, you know, different ratios, lengths, girths, penetration abilities, right? As well as blood flow. I've improved all of that in, like, I've slowly started to learn more of that through these shapes. And now the next level I'm trying to do is maintain that understanding and now make it functional while still having a good understanding of silhouette. And because those are two more things that are added to my mind now, which is really make the silhouette functional and just really think about how these things connect and actually work, right? And although I was trying to do that here, I'm trying to do it a lot more here and visualize it like way much, because this was more free flow to an extent, but this is like genuinely trying to think about it. It does feel like a step back because now that's more brain energy and it's more hazy. Therefore, it's less clear and the output is less coherent, even though the intent is much more solidified and the attempts are much more solidified. Does that make sense? Right? That's how it seems to work in terms of a learning perspective, at least for me. So I'm gonna rest my brain for like 10 minutes. I mean, I'm done the video. I encourage you, if you were drawing along, don't fucking scroll on anything, just rest your brain. And then I'm gonna return and try to create more clusters like these that have some sort of function. Right now, the function is gonna be hinge, right? I'll try to, I think I need to look at like actual real life, I guess, examples. I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to figure this shit out. But I will figure it out at one point or another, right? If not this year, then next. If not next year, then the year after. If not this decade, the next. Right? So there's really no rush. Slowly but surely. And this is only gonna help a lot when it comes to the portrait stuff I've been doing, right? But I think I need to like actually, for the next session, probably try to create some sort of functionality, but going back to keeping that box, sphere, and center line in mind, that actually might give a lot more inspiration in terms of like how I can connect things around that sphere or box, right? We'll see, and then we can go from there. But either way, that was a fucking great session. I put a lot of effort in, right? As always, my bitching aside. Is it bitching? I guess I'm just passionate. I'm just really passionate, you know? But with that being said, I hope you put a lot of effort in, and as always, right? Fuck you for drawing. Fuck you for drawing, what the fuck? Fuck you for watching. Keep drawing, and please, give me money.